Hi, Jennifer. You had posted over on Five Pencil Method Community a concern and asked for some help. And I wanted to be able to give you this video response because I think it'll be a lot better if I let you see what I'm talking about rather than trying to just type an answer. And even though, there's going to be some help in trying to explain it in a typing answer, it is still going to be better this way. And I think that it might really open up some new way of looking at things because you have a very common thing happening here. It's just one of the things that I run into all the time, and all I can do is try to help you see it a little different. So you've mentioned that you're extremely frustrated because although I realize that the line on the far right is too harsh, and I'll show you what that is. I'll show everybody what that is. That something seems amiss in the face and prevents both the face and clothing from being anywhere near as realistic as you would like them to be. So let's take a look at the picture here. And I'm so glad you put the reference up. It's so helpful instead of trying to guess what you're striving for. And this, I need to be able to get this activated here. This rounded little cheeks and rounded forehead and these delicate values are something you really want to be able to achieve. And I think what's happened is you've gotten quite a bit harsher than you needed to. And so actually what has happened is some of these places where maybe this should be darker, and then as it comes up and over this rounded cheek, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. You've actually gotten darker. And it's created somewhat of a negative feel. It's almost like maybe she has a severe sunburn. And yet you've done such a wonderful job at your smooth textures and your contours. And once you see this, I don't think you're going to have any trouble. It looks like you're going to be able to accomplish pretty much anything you want to, as long as you can understand what you're trying to achieve. So let's get this back in gear here, and I want to show you what would happen if we lighten some of these areas up. This is the brightest side of the face. Some of these don't have to be that dark, and yet that one side of the face here is catching the light. This isn't going to be exact because I'm in Photoshop and it just isn't going to do everything we want it to do, but I think this is going to, again, help you to see. We also have contour up to the top of her head, so you see this highlight coming along here. Let's see if we can lighten that up a little bit. We have the lighter side over here. It isn't as bright as this primary light, but it has a little bit of a reflective light, and so that side of her forehead is a little lighter. And then this side of her cheek is lighter than it would be right in the center here, possibly. But what happens here is we're able to bring the focus back to the contours and the highlights and the apexes of curves that we aren't able to do otherwise. And I think you'll see that lighter is probably better in just suggesting a little darker value, or just discerning that slightest change in value is really going to help you. Now, I got to keep finding my cursor here. Every time I get out of here, it goes away. Now, over here, let's go ahead and lighten up some of this. Let's go ahead and take this top of the cheek and go across here a little bit, lightening up this corner of the eye, and just taking some of the severe contrast and harshness out of it. Some of these things are just a little bit past what they should be. I don't see anything really dark coming down here from the corner, the left side of her mouth and down to her chin, and yet this has gotten quite dark. And so we could come along here and maybe lighten up this just a little bit, just backing it up so that we don't have that severe value that is causing this to look like the contours are actually the opposite of what they are, or again, maybe she's got a very harsh sunburn. Let me go ahead and I'm going to take this down to a smaller size and see if we can't come in here and separate her hand a little bit. Some of this is just not enough contrast between her clothing and her hand. And if we establish where the light is, it's obviously lighter at the top edge or where the light is hitting at the brightest point. It isn't going to be that all the highlights are going to be like that, but some of the wrinkles in her knuckles and things like that are going to be a lot more subtle and not quite so pronounced. And it'll help you because you have that contrast to separate her hands from her garment, and then it helps you have that depth. Because if you maintain your clean edges to value, you're going to be able to have a wonderful dimension happening. So over here it'll be the same thing. You can see that the highlight in her hand is lighter, and then it gradually gets darker as it comes down. And some of these things are going to be great advantages. We have actually white material, even though we don't want to have this all the same color because we still want dimension to it. The lace on her little outfit here would be brighter. And you have an opportunity again, and this is why I'm telling you to make sure that whoever's looking at this looks at what you want them to look at, that you have the opportunity to push something back and pull something forward, that you have the opportunity to subtly suggest some things instead of making too much out of maybe some of these subtle values. So I think if you go through and you look at some of these in a little different light, almost a little play on words there, you will be able to see that you will have a lot better opportunity to have this wonderful, soft, wonderful contoured little girl and not have it become something that's distracting. That's why you can always add more. It's harder to take it off. But if you go back to the fundamental, the very beginning materials, and I think I show how to use the dry eraser pad. If you have larger areas like the cheeks that you want to be able to back up and take some of the value off, that dry eraser pad, if you form in a rounded shape, can do a softer application or removal of the graphite in a larger area. And then you could also use the large end of your kneaded eraser and tap some off in some of the other areas. You just don't want to create a modeling or polka dotting, almost like what I've done in the with the Photoshop here when it didn't remove things totally evenly. But anyway, I hope that helps and just gives you again a little visual of what can happen when you actually lighten up and don't get so intense. Let's look at this one more time. I'm going to take away the layer and show you where we started. Look at the drawing, and let's go ahead and take a look at how dark that was, and just a little bit the quick removal of some of that graphite did to help this picture. And I think you can see that it should be a great advantage, and it shouldn't be that hard for you to even remove it. But next time when you're drawing, you can also make sure that you are approaching your values a little different. Make sure you keep them in order, and always strive towards the light, and make sure you're watching for what's brighter, what's darker, so that you don't have something that is actually supposed to be a highlight become dark. So I hope that helps you. Again, thanks for posting this over in the 5-Pencil Method community, and I look forward to seeing what you do with this, if you choose to do that, or some of your additional work. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you later, Jennifer.